Welcome to Punk Rock Dads TV. Another installment. We've got Miguel Chen from Teenage Bottlerockets coming in from Texas there in America. Richard in Australia, me in the UK. So the first question we ask in all the interviews we've done is how many kids do you have? How old are they? And what do they make of your profession?
Yeah. So I've got a daughter, Olivia, she's turning 2 in a couple weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then I got another son on the way next month. So
next month?
Yeah, due date is August 16th. Expecting a little boy.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
I guess 2 is the end. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think with like Olivia, she's just kind of too little to, I think, really notice. Like right from the start, I kind of was trying to like involve her in the band, and like she was in one of our music videos, and I wrote a song about her. We did a 7-inch and all this stuff. But I think since COVID-19, she's probably realizing that I'm home more. That's probably, but she's still pretty little. I mean, she thinks guitars are cool. I think that it remains to be seen, really what she thinks about me and about what I do. And, it also remains to be seen how long it's going to be before I get back to doing what I do. Wow. Right. So, the first year and a half of her life, I was gone every couple of weeks, and,
Yeah, so, that's the second one really. It was kind of, how do you balance home life, studio time, touring? I guess that's a bit of a moot point at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, before it was really a conscious effort on Bottlerockets' behalf of like, everyone's a little older and married and kids and stuff. And, Ray, one of our singers, Ray, he's got a kid, Milo, and Milo is 13 now, which is crazy. But, when Milo was first born, the band was touring relentlessly. And I think it was really hard for Ray to have to be gone so much. And as Milo got a little older, we started bringing him on the road here and there. But by now it's been so much time and so much experience that I think I was really lucky that by the time I was having kids, the band had kind of pumped the brakes a little bit. Like, it's not that we're necessarily touring less. It's just we were a little more like thoughtful about routing and about like, okay, we're going to head out for like 5 days and then we're going to come home for a week or two. And then, and if we have to go overseas, we're going to try and keep it to like 10 days or 14 days and then come home. And, so it's been really, really thought out in that aspect.
I mean,
work-life balance. Yeah. What everyone strives for.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't imagine. It's probably going to be different when, now that I have 2 kids, like how do I strike that balance? But it seems like I've got a little bit of time to try and figure it out. But one of the things I think about a lot is like, I have to be gone for these chunks of time, but then the flip side is when I'm home, I get to be like a dad and be with the kids like constantly, This morning, me and my daughter, like, we're out like watering plants and feeding the dogs and stuff starting at 7 a.m. up till she laid down for a nap. Like, I was with her all day. So it's kind of a cool trade-off.
Nice. And Fat Mike mentions that in the, I don't know if you read the NoFX book, was on the audio book, but he says that like cumulatively, he's probably spent more time with his kid, you know, having, you know, weeks or months all together, and then being off for a section. You probably spend more time with them overall than you do an hour in the morning, go to work, see them, give them dinner, put them to bed. You know?
Absolutely, man. I can't imagine, like, that's gotta be tough, and it's sort of the norm, right? Like, you get your kids ready, you ship them off to daycare, and then you go work your 9 to 5 and pick up the kids, feed them dinner, and put them to bed. Like,
yeah,
it's fucked up, and
yeah.
and I think there's this this need to be like super productive, and everyone kind of buys into it, and especially I think in the States lately, it's just like everyone's in such a rush to just break their fucking backs for whatever fucking reason, and
to get
almost for apparently fucking nothing. And then like a pandemic like kind of comes in, and you need a little help from your government, and you realize how little they actually give a shit about you. So then you're like, well, you know, maybe there's something to living outside the box a little bit, and trying to have more freedom, even if it comes with less stability, because the stability is just a fucking lie, right? So,
yeah. Well, we're all feeling that at the moment. You know, it's fragile, isn't it? You don't realize what you got till it's gone, and then when normality changes, you realize what you've actually got. And you know, I was just saying to Richard before we started that I've been off work for 3 months now, and which has been great. My boy's 18 months old, so I've got to spend a lot of time with him at a similar age to Olivia that I didn't think I was going to, you know, which is nice.
Yeah,
it's a nice surprise, and I've enjoyed it, you know, and it's gonna long term that's gonna make a difference. But you know, we've got bills, you know, we've struck a good balance, and we're in a good situation really, because my partner's managed to work more and offset it and stuff, so it's fine. But there's a lot of people out there who aren't, you know. But I think we're going to see people operating very differently, aren't we? When this all finishes, people's priorities are going to change a lot.
Absolutely, man. And you know, I'm the same. I'm like really grateful for all the extra time with my family and all that, and kind of like a silver linings kind of guy, always trying to see the positive in things. But like the best case scenario for me is that at the end of all this, like there's sort of more support and like government help for people, like a universal basic income and like access to healthcare and that kind of shit, like things that seem so far off in the US, but it's like, you know, machines are taking up so many jobs anyway. It's kind of like, why not just give everybody a little money each month and allow people to not be breaking their dicks for 60 hours a week or whatever, you know?
You're gonna get so much more of a net gain from that, aren't you? Like long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And and hopefully, you know, like the 4-day work week and just generally more time for like, you know, creative ventures, but also like for family. Like absolutely, like there's such a rat race fucking like even now, like essential workers and stuff, like they're out there working fucking hard to make ends meet so that they can take care of their families and putting themselves at risk. And then I can't help but think, like, you know, like if the government gave a shit about people, like it wouldn't have to be this way. The norm could be that people spend more time with their families and so maybe that'll come of this.
Well, we'll see. Yeah. Who knows? Next one we got here is some people don't know. I didn't know about your kind of your yoga and your mindfulness, etc. until I just saw your name come up on Kindle. and I was looking at some books and kind of reading up on mindfulness and stuff, and I was like, oh shit. So you're a man of many talents. You've got Teenage Bottlerocket, but you're a published author, run a yoga studio. I've not read the second, but I did recently finish I Want to Be Well,
Nice.
Which I really liked. It's really good. And for those who don't know, the tagline is "How a Punk Found Peace and You Can Too." It's kind of, how prevalent really do you think is, because you don't automatically associate kind of yoga and mindfulness and the kind of the spirituality type thing with punk rock, but I mean, how prevalent is it in kind of the punk world and things? Is it? You alone or?
Oh no, much less alone than I used to be, I think. But like I'll do these events at like Fest or Pooza Fest or whatever. I'll do like free yoga for punks classes, and they're always really well attended. And I think there's kind of a lot of similarities in these two realms as far as the search for a deeper meaning, and generally speaking, punk rock kind of tends to go like really self-destructive or like let's destroy everything route in that quest, and I mean, I
found
think
it interesting. So that you draw quite a few parallels between kind of the punk rock ethos, if you will, and a kind of a mindful spiritualness. You've what's the Bad Brain song that you quote in there, and
Attitude.
Attitude.
PMA, and it's hard, I think, for punks to have a positive attitude. I mean, I think it's hard for people in general, but I think punks in general, we're a smart. Well, I shouldn't say all of us, but there's a lot of thoughtfulness in punk rockers, and a lot of we want to understand more about the world, and especially if you're lucky to get to travel a lot, and there's a lot of openness in this sense, and that's really, I think, similar to this yoga and meditation thing, because it's really all about seeing things how they really are versus how we think they are, and the more we kind of open ourselves up to different perspectives, the better we're able to see things the way they really are. And I read something not too long ago along the lines of the world is a book, and people who don't experience other cultures only read one page of the book, and I think that punk rockers, generally speaking, are good at having more than one page under their belt, and having more than one worldview, and I, at the same time, I think the reason things are so fucked up in the US is because the average fucking American doesn't have those extra pages. They don't have that want or that drive to see the truth. They're just kind of happy with seeing things the way that's convenient for them, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's it, isn't it? Because with one of the kind of the underlining parts of the punk rock, for me anyway, is kind of question everything. Yeah. Don't take anything for granted. Question it, and and that gels quite well with the whole kind of question why do things have to be this way? Why, why, and also why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I try and you talk a lot about kind of reflecting inwards and not necessarily kind of inner peace, but kind of just looking inside yourself and knowing yourself first and foremost. Because punk rock is about being independent, individualism, being yourself, and to truly do that, you need to look inside. Oh,
absolutely. And there's this big thinking for yourself is such a big theme in punk rock, and I think that my work in yoga and meditation is really linked to that, but there's this added element of thinking for yourself, but realizing that the starting point of that is that you're not your thoughts. Like, you have thoughts, and you can create thoughts, and you can let go of thoughts, and from there you can really think for yourself. You can really be like, is this thought I'm having productive or helpful, or is this thought I'm having just fucking bullshit? Like,
yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, I read a bit of philosophy now and again to try and kind of, you know, settle the mind of things, and stoicism comes up for me, and it's about you have no control over external events. You only have control over how you react to external events.
Yeah,
that's the only thing you can control. You know,
and I'll even go so far as to say, like, the things externally that you can change, because, you know, there's some, but even all that starts internally. So, you know, before you write a song, it's a thought. Before you get fucking, like, you act out in rage, it's a thought, and everything starts with a thought. So the things you can and the things you can't control all begin with thoughts, and in that sense, our entire experience of living a human life starts inside.
Yeah, that's it. You know,
picking up, noticing those cues early as well, and how you react to them is a big part of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I found, yeah. My wife's a yoga teacher and right into meditation and spirituality, has been ever since I've known her. And I just haven't gelled with it until recently. And I found just taking an external view of the situation and slowing down, and just noticing every little thing that's happening and feeling, and it helps a lot. And like you said, punk rock's about probably not doing what everyone expects you to do. So if they, if people think that yoga's not punk rock, then
yeah. And I mean, absolutely. It's one of those things when you, like, go and you find out for yourself, and you're like, oh shit, there's something to this. And the reason, like, more punks don't go and find out for themselves is because all they see are fucking, like, Lululemon fucking yoga pants, fucking beach models tying themselves into fucking pretzels or whatever the fuck. And they're like, with, like, the most flowery fucking, like, cliche namaste fucking bullshit, and they're like, well, not only does that not reflect me, but that also seems like it doesn't have any substance. It seems really surfacey. And so I feel like with my teaching and with my books, it's really my mission to be like, like, fuck the yoga pants, fuck the Instagram selfies, like, that's all just fluff. Like, we're gonna dive in and do some real work.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah.
Well, that's one bit I enjoyed about your book as well. Obviously, is each chapter has a kind of theme and an exercise at the end, or like a training thing for you to do. And you say right in the very beginning, this is that if you want to do all of them, great. If part of this doesn't gel with you and doesn't seem right, then don't fucking do it.
Not for you.
Focus on the ones that does. There's something in there for everyone. And even if it's just a simple case of breathing, just kind of, there's something in there for everyone, and you can kind of, you don't have to go fully into the spirituality if you don't want to, because it's not, people get, like you said, with the namaste and realigning chakras and, all that sort of stuff is that's what puts people off. But actually it's just a case of just breathing and focusing, and I think particularly at the moment as well, given the pandemic situation we're in, it's just being aware of yourself and aware of others. And the rules have changed recently, haven't they? So it's about just kind of just refocusing.
The rules have fucking changed.
Yeah.
And in typical US fucking fashion, the struggle against the new rules is like fucking fierce. It's just such a like
crazy time.
Yeah. frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine. At least we'll have some stories, I know. At least we'll have some stories, hopefully. So what have you been doing then during the pandemic? What have you been up to? What's your kind of day to day? How have you been keeping busy?
I'm actually doing audiobook versions of those first two books.
Cool.
That's been taking a little bit of time. I'm working on a book proposal with a buddy of mine, but it's kind of more his book. I'm just kind of like the writer, helping him bring a voice to it. But it's my buddy Brad. He's a dog trainer, and his career is kind of just fucking taking off, which it should be. He's like this miracle fucking dog guy, and so we've been working on a proposal for that, and signed with a new agent to kind of try and find that a home. But outside of that, I've been writing songs. The whole band has been writing songs. That's probably relevant to the punk dads. We're hoping to do a record, but really, my shift has been trying to not just be busy and not just work for the sake of being busy and for working. I think it's a little bit, the tendency is to want to cling to some sense of normalcy. So it's like, well, if I can't tour, I need to be busy doing something else. But I've been really mindfully trying to be like, you know what? I'm going to keep my schedule fucking open, and I'm going to do a lot of stuff with my daughter. Like, we're going to go on fucking bike rides. There's like a neighborhood pool that we go to when there's nobody else there. We're like really like, what can I do that's like safe, but also like stimulating for my daughter. So, I live in Dallas, Texas, and it's fucking hot. So the name of the game is wake up early, try and do outdoor stuff, like as long as you can before you have to be inside the rest of the day. And, mostly fucking family time, like husband and dad stuff,
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, we it's kind of similar here. We've been on semi-lockdown. It's just starting to ease a bit now, but there was 2 months of, what am I going to do? Same thing, stay in the house with my boy, maybe go to the park, and come back home. That's all we can do. You were talking about the books there as well. Is the children's book you did, Virus. I like that, man. That was cool. How did that come about? Tell us a bit about that.
That was really, so actually like a while back, I thought of doing a kid's book, and I'd written it. It was called The F Word, and I'd had my buddy Dave kind of illustrate it, and we put that together, and we shopped it around a little bit, but no one really bit. So I was like, whatever, maybe kid's book, not my thing. And then right whenever this shit happened, I was kind of awake one night, like thinking about like, oh fuck, like what have we, the collective we done? Like what's going to happen to our world right now? And what, and what does this mean for my family and my kids? And my tendency usually is like try to find ways to be helpful. Makes me feel much better when I'm having anxiety or whatever. And I was up one night, like, how can I help? And the book just kind of started to come out. And I hit up my buddy Dave, who'd illustrated The F Word, and was like, you want to give this kids book thing another crack? Like, I've got this idea. I don't know what we're going to do. Maybe we're just going to release it on Instagram as a series of posts for free, or maybe we'll just like self-publish or try to find a real publisher. And Dave had worked with Zarfling Platoon. It's like a really small independent publisher on some other books. He's like, these guys might be interested. Sent it to him, and then like 3 weeks later it was released. Just fucking fast.
Wow,
it's unreal.
And then
you had to act pretty quick. Obviously, if you had the kind of the concept of the book before, but I thought that's to get a book kind of written, illustrated, published within the first couple of months of lockdown is quite impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I was impressed with the speed for sure. And, right off the bat, we decided we were going to be donating profits from that to the World Health Organization. And the publisher's been, teaming and giving profits to like organizations here and there they think could use some help that work for good causes. And, so it was just kind of one of those, like, I'm going to put something good out into the world and then I'm going to walk away from it kind of things, which was nice. And it was especially nice when I was like, it's only going to be like 3 or 4 months and I'll be back on the road. And, but now it's a little bit more like, well, at some point I have to make money and like.
Well, this is it, man. This is.
This interview is.
Come on, finish the sentence.
No, but to that end, I'm like, really related to like my spiritual practice and that I'm like, things always have a way of working out, and despite the fact that I haven't played a show since February, like things just kind of keep falling into place month by month, and I have no idea how I'm gonna like pay the mortgage or whatever at the beginning of a month, but then by the end of the month it somehow happens. So I'm just kind of riding that wave.
Yeah.
Until
what I've noticed a lot with all this extra time is that if you've got a spark of an idea, you don't have the full picture. You just take the first step, and then the next step reveals itself, and then the next step reveals itself, and you just work it out as you go along.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, that's how I ended up writing books to begin with. It was kind of like, here's an offer to write an article. Oh, these guys are asking if I want to do a book. Like, it's been always, I'm a big believer in the next step. Take the next step.
Yeah.
Is your process of writing a book the same as the process for writing a song? Are they two separate entities, or do you work in the same way?
I mean, I think a book's probably more involved just because there's more words. But so when I'm working on a book, it goes through several drafts of a proposal where it's kind of like, okay, this is what the book is, and then here's sort of a skeleton of how that process goes. And it feels like lifetimes in that process, where usually when I write a song, I kind of have an idea, and usually the song's hashed out within a day or two. Songwriting's a lot less of a, I don't want to say struggle. Struggle's not the right word, but
well, like you said,
a little
more
easier going.
There's a lot more words when you're writing a book, and you've got a lot more to pour over and to think and redraft. Whereas with a song, it can be a bit more impulsive. Once if it sounds good,
totally.
It's probably easier to go, right, that's it, done with a song, than it is with a book.
And I think there's also an element of like, okay, if I write a song and it sucks, then we don't use it and whatever. If I write a song and it's good, like, then it can be on the next record, and the band has like a label and an existing career, and that's all, but like with books, it's always really like, you spend so much time and effort writing a book, and you kind of don't know if anyone's going to put it out or where it's going to go. And
it's a big risk.
It is. And it's like, if you're going to put yourself into this, you know, obviously you need to also pay your bills while you're doing it. So it's there's that added pressure, right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't envy you. I don't envy you, particularly at the moment. You know, I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? You know, no one really knows what's going to happen. But look, you talk about, you know, not being on tour for a while and wanting to get back. Let's touch on some of your tour memories and kind of where you've been there. What are your favourite memories of being on tour? You know, the best shows you played, and one question that I do ask: has there ever been a band that you've kind of had on tour and as support, or a band that you followed afterwards and gone, that's going to be a big ask to follow them? Is there any like support band or a festival on before you've blown you away?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you like a quick dumb tour story, and then I'll come back to like the bigger question. But there's something about just like being in the van with the same dudes for decades, and it's just fucking gross. And for whatever reason, like me and Ray kind of have this like grossness where like there was one day where I can't remember who farted first. Let's just say it was me. I farted and it was like so fucked up, and Ray was like hungover, so he just like threw up because it was gross. And then like probably 3 minutes later, like the reverse thing happened. Like Ray fucking farted, and it was so gross that it made me start throwing up. But lots of puke and pee, and it's not unlike being a parent in some aspects. But you know, there's been a lot of like really big highlights and a lot of shows, and I remember in particular like Fest in 2015. It was the last show we played with Brandon before he passed away, and we fucking killed that night. Like we fucking destroyed. We were on fire. We'd been just touring so hard all year. We just done the record for Rise, and we got off stage, and me and Brandon were just like, holy fuck, like we're fucking good. Like, like, wow, like we worked so hard. It finally happened, and we just went out all night and got fucking wasted, just kind of like just basking in this feeling of having like really accomplished what we set out to accomplish. As far as like bands that we've, you know, I think there's a big relationship obviously with Teenage Bottlerocket and Fat Records and Red Scare Industries. And Red Scare had put out the first few Bottlerocket records, and had a lot to do with us signing to Fat Records in the first place. But so there's always kind of been Toby, who runs Red Scare, is always kind of like, hey, I've got this band, will you guys take them out on tour? And coincidentally, Toby's our booking agent too, so more often than not, like we have to say yes. But so over the years, there's been lots of bands that we took out because Toby like brought them to our attention. And you know, there was Cobra Skulls and Masked Intruder and the Menzingers. I think for sure the Menzingers, I think, are one of the most impressive ones, as far as like we saw them come from playing to fucking nobody, you know, but we're like, this band is great, we're gonna take them out on tour. And then like now their band fucking dwarfs our band, you know, like now Teenage Bottlerocket plays support for the Menzingers. Like they just really went far, and I'm really proud of those guys. Yeah,
they're a great live act. I saw them once. Yeah. They're, you know, nothing to be ashamed of there.
they were on their way to Australia when all of this hit. Yeah.
So strange. I mean, let's keep on the music for a bit. I mean, who or what was your first kind of big musical interest? You know, where did it start for you with the music?
Yeah.
Was it punk rock or?
No, I mean, my mom was really musical, and so just as like a little kid, I would always like listen to whatever music my mom was really into. Like, she was really into the Carpenters, and she was really into like big band and like jazz music or whatever. So when I was, you know, in like second or third grade, I had like a big band phase where I thought fucking like saxophone and all that was super cool, which led to me playing that in junior high. But you know, as far as kind of coming into my own on music, obviously, you know, like Green Day and that kind of stuff was really big, and that was kind of my first like little awareness of oh, there's something going on. But like, I noticed that the kids who were a little bit older than me had like No Effects shirts and Guttermouth and like that kind of stuff, and I didn't really like know what any of it meant, but like I was like, holy fuck, like,
yeah,
like I want to know what that means. And I remember one of those kids ended up giving me NoFX Heavy Petting Zoo. It's like the front cover is like a dude who's like fingering like a sheep or something. Like, and I was young and I was like, whoa, like what the fuck, and like put it on, and that was really it. That was really like all right, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah, there's we all have them. For me, it was a combination both at the same time. Listening to them both regularly, it was Ignition and Smash for me. It was kind of when heard Smash first, and then like a week after went to the library, and when you could still get CDs out from the library, I guess you probably still can. Got Ignition out, and I said, right, everything makes a lot more sense now. But this is different, you know.
Kind of that mid-90s Epitaph thing, I think, was big, like all those Punkorama compilations. And
for sure. I heard Ignition first, and I think it might have been a guitar magazine. They had a picture of the Offspring in it, and one of them was wearing a Pennywise shirt, and I didn't know what that meant. I just saw that shirt, and I'm like, what's that? So, you know, Offspring just led into something else, and got Pennywise, and, you know, you read the liner notes and they thank No Effects or whatever inside, and just everything rolled off that.
Yeah,
but
man,
Offspring was the stuff for me as well.
It's interesting, the t-shirt thing, right? So like, you know, obviously like Offspring and Green Day had like such huge commercial success that I think a lot of people around them, like, you know, getting kind of sucked in, but then there were those of us who for whatever reason were like affected enough to realize like, okay, what are these guys into? Like, what t-shirts are these guys wearing? Like, what bands do the bands I like, and those are us that became like lifelong punk rockers versus like the casual, like, oh, I like a little of everything guys. Or,
no, the t-shirts are interesting, aren't they? You know, you can get because there's so many iconic ones. I finally managed to get hold of on eBay. I've got a Punkers hoodie, No Effects Punkers hoodie, the Snickers one. I was like, that's the holy grail. I was like, that's great. How are we getting on? I mean, getting back to your book, complete change of tactic here. Pop quiz for you. You mentioned pizza and tacos loads in your book. I've read through. You're clearly a big fan of both. Which do you prefer? Which ones?
Tacos.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, yeah.
Is that hot or soft tacos? What is?
I mean, I have love for all tacos. Like seriously, even fucking Taco Bell, like garbage fast food tacos. But like my real truest love is like the Mexican street taco on a corn tortilla, like small tacos, you know, like eat fucking 50 of them. And, like, 2-3 bites. Yeah, and there's so many good ones in Texas. Like, it's worth the heat. Like,
nice. Yeah, we don't get a great deal of Mexican over here. We get a bit, but not a lot.
You don't. No.
In my town we do. We've got a few Mexican restaurants, but in general.
Yeah, I remember we were in England once and we found a Taco Bell and we were so like, oh my God, like so fucking stoked that we tweeted about it. We were like, yes, we found Taco Bell, and Taco Bell UK like tweeted back at us and we were like, hook it up, like sponsor our shit.
Yeah.
They did not.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Oh look, I've asked this to a few of the interviews as well, and it's I'll give you a minute or two to think about it. But who would be on your punk Mount Rushmore, or Mount Punkmore, if you will? You got four pillars. Who are you putting up there?
Probably just the Ramones, huh? Like
The Ramones.
Joey, Johnny, Dee Dee, Tommy.
Yeah. Job done.
Yeah.
Fair days. Nice answer. Good and quick.
Good answer.
Yeah, there's four of them too. I mean, look, I'll wrap it up here. I've got loads of what we can ask, but I appreciate you're a busy dude. So no, we being Teenage Bottlerocket, being punk rock dads, we couldn't really finish on not talking about the Everything to Me video, you know, and the song you wrote, you know, about being a dad and the punk rocker and the kids and stuff. Can you just kind of give us a bit of, you know, background on that and how that was to film and, you know, what it means?
Yeah. I feel like there's a little bit of an element in the band of like who's gonna have like the best song on the record or whatever. And so, you know, Cody and Ray sing all the songs, and there's always kind of like, if one of them shows up with a really good song, you know, the other one's gonna show up with like,
yeah,
just and when we were writing Stay Rad, I forget what Cody had just sent one over where we were all like, fuck, that's awesome. And so like a few days later, Ray sends over fucking Everything to Me. And we're all like, damn, dude. Like we were all kind of crying because, you know, we'd grown up. Obviously his son Milo kind of grew up with us. And so, you know, we watched him his whole life, and it was such like a real kind of raw song. And so when we were talking about songs to do a music video for, that kind of was the obvious choice. And I still had my yoga studio in Laramie. I sold that one. I still have one studio, but barely relevant. I still had the studio in Laramie. And I was like, well, I've got this giant fucking yoga studio. Like, we can just film in there. Yeah. So we had our buddy come in, blacked out all the windows, borrowed like a giant spotlight and did all the band footage. And then, then he just kind of came to our houses and filmed us hanging out with our kids. And I had like a little carrier for Olivia, like you do when they're that age. And I just popped her in and started playing my bass, carrying her. And it was just a fun little afternoon of hanging with my daughter and filming. And then after that, going and getting fucking hammered with the band. And now when I watch that video, I'm like, my daughter is grown so much in that time. It's really precious to have that, like, kind of laid on tape.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
it's a snapshot. It's a here and now.
A snapshot, totally. And but I'm gonna try to do that for a while, and hopefully when she's older, she thinks that this stuff is cool and not like embarrassing.
Yeah. No, good. It's good fun. You know, it really does, because it's a sweet song. It's honest, isn't it? It's an honest song. Yeah. I think it's, going back to what we were saying earlier, it's quite raw and quite real, isn't it? You know, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, it's
every once in a while you're like, man, Ray's got real human feelings, just like the rest of us.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, look, I think that's cool. Look, we've had kind of 40 minutes of your time, girl. I really do appreciate you coming down, man.
Thank you.
You know, saying hello to us all. So we'll get this all sent out to you. You know, keep us posted whenever touring finally does start. Hope things work out for you.
I really appreciate you guys having me. I hope that I hope it went okay, and I hope that that someday I'm back on the road and in Australia and in England and we can like grab a beer or something, man.
Sounds good.
Right on.
Fingers crossed, man.
Cool, man.
Yep.
All right.
Cool. Enjoy your day.
Miguel.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Peace, man.
Later on, dudes.
See you later.
Every detail.